Okay, I'm going to try to help you out with the problem, I believe it's 13.1 on the dividends per share calculation. And I have an example over here. I've tried to record this a couple times and the mouse was not following properly, so if it's not now, I apologize in advance, but just read with me. Imaging Inc., a developer of radiology equipment, has stock outstanding as follows. They have 40,000 shares of cumulative preferred stock with a $75 par. Okay, that's important. And 100,000 shares of $50 par common stock. During its first 4 years of operations, the following amounts were distributed as dividends. First year, 36,000, second year, 90,000, third year, 115,000, and the fourth year, 140,000. Okay, I have put those amounts over here on this Excel spreadsheet to keep up with, okay? We're to compute the dividends per share on each class of stock for each of the 4 years. If I were doing this on paper, doing this on my own, I would probably just do it on paper, but I'm going to use Excel so I can get it up here in the screencast. You don't have to use Excel. I am just treating it as digital paper, okay? So I have my years, I have my dividend amounts. The very first thing I want to do is I need to determine what is the amount the preferred stock is entitled to in any given year before common gets anything. Now, we said that we have 40,000 shares of cumulative preferred 2% $75 par stock. So let me bring up my calculator here. To get the amount per share that they are entitled to for preferred, we're going to take the 2% and multiply it times the $75 par. So on a per share basis, they are entitled to $1.50 before common can get anything. Okay. However, let's calculate it on a class basis. There are 40,000 shares, so times 4, 1, 2, there we go. They are entitled to $60,000. So I'm going to just put that down here so we can remember they are entitled to $60,000. Now, let's get back to our task. In year 1, if they are going to only give out $36,000 in dividends and the preferred shareholders are entitled to $60,000, then obviously that entire $36,000 goes to the preferred shareholders, and that leaves common with nothing. Okay, let's go to year 2. Year 2, they're giving out $90,000 in dividends. We know that the preferred stock is entitled to $60,000. However, they were short. We have to deal with what we call the amounts in arrears. Okay, so let's see what they were in arrears. In year 1, they were entitled to $60,000, but they only got $36,000. So they are in arrears $24,000 for year 1. You can just label that year 1. Okay. Now back to year 2. They are entitled to the $60,000 for their annual amount plus the $24,000 in arrears. So they have to get the entire $84,000 before common can get anything. Now, if they had only given out $70,000 in dividends in year 2, they would get the whole $70,000, and there would still be a portion in arrears for year 2. And if it was $70,000, they would now be $14,000 in arrears. But in this example, they gave enough out to cover the entire annual amount plus the amount in arrears. So we are no longer in arrears. I'm going to strike that out so we can just remember that we're not in arrears anymore, but I don't want to erase it. Okay, now if $84,000 was given to the preferred shareholders out of the $90,000, that means there is a remaining $6,000 left to give to common. So the total is done for year 2. In year 3, there's nothing in arrears. Preferred is entitled to $60,000, so that's exactly what they're going to get. And the remaining part, the 115 minus the 60, will go to your common shareholders. The next year, there's nothing in arrears, so the preferred get their standard $60,000, and the common will get the difference between the 140 and the 60. So now we have all the totals. Now that's not what Cengage is going to ask for. They want the per share amount, but you need to get the total before you get the per share. Okay, so now let's take our total. Okay, this equals that. We're going to divide it by the number of shares that we have. If you come back over here again, we see there are 40,000 shares of cumulative preferred stock. So we get 0.9 in year 1. We'll copy this down. This 84,000 divided by 40,000 gives you 2.1. The 60,000 divided by 40,000 is 1.5, and of course it will be the same in this year as well. Let's do common and finish this out. And let's see, we'll say this divided by, excuse me, this equals this divided by the, what do we have here? 100,000 shares outstanding. Okay. And those should be the per share amounts here. This is 60,000 divided by 100,000, the 55,000 divided by 100,000, and 80,000 divided by 100,000. And that takes care of the problem. Let me know if you have any other questions. I apologize for any lack of quality in this. I think it's going to be a little bit rough, but hopefully it'll still be helpful. Thank you very much. Bye.